Capricorn, Capricorn. The sentence that makes them emotionally shut down. Have you ever noticed how a Capricorn can be completely present in a conversation and suddenly build an impenetrable emotional wall in a matter of seconds? There's a specific phrase that has the power to completely shut down a Capricorn's emotional side, transforming them into a cold and distant version of themselves. And no, it's not what you imagine. Capricorn is known for its strength, determination, and ability to maintain composure even in the most challenging situations. But behind this armor of self-control lies a deeply sensitive heart that few have the privilege of knowing. And when that heart is struck by the wrong phrase, the Zodiac's most powerful defense mechanism is instantly activated. What makes this even more fascinating is that most people say this phrase without even realizing the damage they're causing. They keep talking, while Capricorn has already completely disconnected emotionally. The conversation continues, but the genuine connection? That's gone. If you have a Capricorn in your life, whether as a partner, friend, family member, or colleague, and you want to understand why they sometimes completely shut down, this video will reveal exactly what triggers this emotional block. I'll show you not only what that devastating phrase is, but also what's happening in the Capricorn's mind when they hear those words, and more importantly, how you can avoid pushing away someone who, deep down, just wants to be understood. Get ready, because what you're about to discover may completely change the way you communicate with Capricorns. But before we begin this journey into the most protected emotional interior of the Zodiac, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content about the deepest secrets of each sign. And leave your like now. This helps me continue bringing this type of content that goes far beyond the surface of astrology. Ready? Then let's dive into the emotional world of Capricorn. You are too strong to feel this way. That's the phrase. 6 words that sound like a compliment, but to Capricorn, they sound like a life sentence. And to understand why these words have so much destructive power, you need to understand the first truth about this sign. Capricorns weren't born strong. They became strong because they were never allowed to be fragile. Imagine a child building a house of cards in a room where all the adults are constantly rushing around, slamming doors, and making noise. This child quickly learns that if they want something to remain standing, they need to build it with stones. They need to be the mountain. That's what happens to Capricorns from a very young age. While other signs were allowed to cry, to ask for help, to be vulnerable, Capricorn heard, be responsible, be mature, be strong. And they were. They became the rock of the family, the pillar of the group of friends, that person everyone looks to when they need stability. But nobody ever asked, who is the pillar of Capricorn? The truth is that behind that armor of self-control lies a heart as sensitive as that of any water sign. The difference is that Capricorns have learned to hide their emotions so well that even they sometimes forget they are bleeding inside. They have developed an almost supernatural ability to compartmentalize pain, to lock feelings in mental drawers that are never opened in the presence of other people. So, when you say you're too strong to feel that way, what Capricorn really hears is, your pain is not valid. Your feelings are an exaggeration. You are not allowed to be human. It's as if you were saying that all that vulnerability they finally mustered the courage to show was a mistake, a slip-up, an unacceptable weakness. And at that moment, something breaks. Not dramatically or explosively, but like a steel door closing silently. Capricorn returns to the mountain, returns to being the rock. Because if even then they cannot be accepted in their entirety, then it's better not to feel anything at all. It's better to be the impenetrable fortress that everyone expects them to be, even if it means living in devastating emotional solitude. The most tragic part? Capricorns do this so naturally that you don't even realize you've lost access to their hearts. The conversation continues, the relationship goes on, but that depth, that real intimacy, that died the moment you invalidated their right to be vulnerable. Here's something that few people understand about Capricorn. Their fierce independence isn't self-confidence. It's a survival mechanism. They are not self-sufficient because they want to be, but because they have learned the hard way that depending on someone is to risk collapsing when that person inevitably disappears. I'm going to ask you a few questions. Have you ever noticed how Capricorns never ask for help, even when they're clearly overwhelmed? Have you noticed how they always have a plan B, C, and D for any situation? Have you noticed how you rarely see them truly needing someone? This is not pride. This is pure, crystallized terror. Capricorns carry a visceral fear of abandonment, but unlike other signs that express this through jealousy or a constant need for validation, they do the opposite. They build such a structured, self-sufficient life that no one can ever hurt them by leaving. If they don't need you, you can't disappoint them. If they don't depend on anyone, no one can let them down. It's like building an emotional bunker where they store everything they need to survive on their own. Strength, discipline, control, responsibility. And then they live in this bunker, looking at the world through bulletproof windows, participating in life, but never allowing themselves to be completely exposed. When you say you're too strong to feel this way, you're reinforcing the very pattern that keeps Capricorn trapped in this emotional prison. You're confirming the most painful belief they carry. I'm all alone in this. No one will catch me if I fall. So it's better if I never fall. And here's the vicious cycle. The more Capricorn hides their vulnerability, the more people around them assume they don't need emotional support. And the less support they receive, the more convinced they become that they are truly alone. It's a devastating self-fulfilling prophecy. But do you know what happens to someone who spends years, even decades, carrying the weight of the world alone? They don't become stronger. They become more tired, more empty, more disconnected from themselves and others. The mountain that everyone sees is not a symbol of power. It's a tomb where Capricorn buried all the parts of themselves that were not accepted. So when you invalidate their feelings with that phrase, you're not just hurting them in that moment. You're confirming every fear they've ever had about relationships, about vulnerability, about showing who they really are. And the door that was opening, it closes. And it may never open for you again. Capricorn is tired. Not the kind of tiredness that a good night's sleep can fix, but the existential exhaustion of someone who was never allowed to be a child, to be irresponsible, to simply fall apart. Think about it. While other signs have their moments of emotional outbursts, irrationality, of I can't take it anymore and I'm going to do something impulsive, Capricorn is there, firm, holding things together, solving problems, being the voice of reason. Always, without exception. No vacations from this self-imposed responsibility. Have you ever stopped to think about the burden of being the person everyone turns to when things fall apart? Being that friend who always has the solution, that family member who never panics, that partner who keeps everything running when chaos ensues? Sounds admirable, doesn't it? Until you realize that being that person means never being allowed to fall apart as well. Capricorns live in a perpetual state of emotional vigilance. They need to always be in control because they deeply believe that if they let their guard down, everything will fall apart. It's like being the conductor of an orchestra who can never stop conducting, because if they stop, they believe the entire piece of music will irreversibly go out of tune. And here's the part nobody sees. Behind that facade of absolute control, there's an inner child who just wanted permission to be irresponsible. To mess things up, to not know everything, to be taken care of instead of always taking care of others. But that child was buried so long ago that Capricorn doesn't even remember her anymore. Or, if she does remember, she pretends not to. Because remembering means admitting a need that was never met. It means acknowledging a wound that never healed. So when they finally they gather enough courage to lower their armor, to admit that they are exhausted, that they are overwhelmed, that they need support, and you respond with you're too strong to feel that way. It's like throwing salt on an open wound. You just said that that rare moment of emotional honesty was inappropriate, that they have no right to be tired, that the only acceptable version of them is the strong, controlled, unwavering version, the mask version, the lie version. And Capricorn understands the message perfectly. Go back to being the mountain. Nobody wants to see the avalanche. Then they come back. They put their armor back on. They swallow their exhaustion. They lock away their vulnerability. And you'll never see them fragile again, because they've learned that even their fragility needs to be too strong to be real. Before we continue, I want to know from you. Have you ever felt the weight of always needing to be strong, of never being able to fall apart? Or do you know a Capricorn who lives this reality? Leave your comments below that let's create a support network so that no Capricorn feels alone on this journey. And if you recognize anyone in this description, tag this person or share this video. Sometimes, feeling that someone understands is already half the battle. There is a particular hell that Capricorn inhabits, and it has a name. The belief that they are never enough, that no matter how many achievements they accumulate, how many goals they reach, how many people depend on them, there is always an inner voice whispering that they could have done better, been more, gone further. Capricorns don't pursue success because they're superficially ambitious. They pursue it because they believe their worth as a person is directly linked to their achievements. It's as if there's a silent equation in their minds. My achievements equals my dignity of being loved. And this equation is a deadly trap. Because if your worth depends on what you achieve, you can never stop achieving. You can never rest. You can never fail. You can never be human. You need to climb mountain after mountain, continually proving that you deserve to exist, that you deserve love, that you deserve the space you occupy in the world. Can you imagine the exhaustion of that? The loneliness of believing that people will only stay by your side as long as you are useful, productive, successful? It's like running on an endless treadmill where the speed only increases, and you can't stop because you believe that the moment you do, everyone will abandon you. So when Capricorn finally allows themselves to feel that they're not coping, that they're overwhelmed, that they're failing in some way, and you say, you're too strong to feel this way, you're confirming their worst fear, that their feelings are a flaw. Sadness is weakness. Vulnerability is incompetence. Needing help is being less. And for someone who already believes they only deserve love when they're on top, this message is devastating. Capricorn then does what it always does. Buries its feelings, puts on the mask of competence again, and climbs back up. But every time this happens, a piece of them dies inside. Connecting with their own humanity wears down a little more. The distance between who they are and who they feel they need to be widens until it becomes an insurmountable abyss. And here's the truth that nobody tells you. Capricorns don't need more strength. They need permission to be weak. They need to hear that they are loved not for what they do, but for who they are. That they can fail and still be worthy. That they can fall apart and still be accepted. But when you invalidate their feelings, you're robbing them of that possibility. You're saying that the only acceptable version of them is the one that never falters. And that's not love, it's prison. The mountain you see isn't Capricorn. It's the tomb where they buried everything that wasn't accepted. And the more you reinforce that they need to be strong, the deeper they dig that tomb, until one day there's nothing alive left inside. Only stone, only silence, only solitude disguised as self-sufficiency. There is a specific kind of pain that Capricorn carries, and it is invisible to outsiders. The loneliness of never being truly seen. People see the competent professional, the reliable friend, the stable partner, the unwavering fortress, but no one sees the person behind the performance. And Capricorns have learned to live with that. They've become accustomed to being loved for the role they play, not for the essence they carry. They become experts at hiding the oceanic depths of their emotions behind a calm and controlled surface. But there is a moment, rare, precious, terrifying, when Capricorn gathers all the courage they possess and allows themselves to be vulnerable. It's as if the mountain briefly opens to reveal the dormant volcano within. And in that moment, they are not asking for advice. They are not asking for solutions. They are asking for something far more precious, to be witnessed in their full humanity. When you respond to that sacred moment with "you're too strong to feel that way," you're not just invalidating a feeling. You're killing the hope they had of finally being understood, of finally being able to take off their armor, of finally being loved not despite their wounds, but including them. And that hurts in a way that Capricorn will never tell you. Because the truth is, they'll simply close the door. They'll smile. They'll agree you're right. They'll revert to being the strong, controlled version everyone knows. But inside, something fundamental has broken. The fragile bridge they were building between their inner and outer worlds has been destroyed. And it may take years, or never again, for them to try to rebuild it. Capricorns won't fight with you about it. They won't cry. They won't make a scene. They'll simply decide, on a deep and silent level, that you're not safe. That opening up to you was a mistake. That it's better to maintain emotional distance and never risk showing the truth again. And you'll continue interacting with them normally, without realizing that you've just lost access to that person's heart forever. Because Capricorns don't give second chances when it comes to vulnerability. They can't. The pain of being rejected in their most authentic form is too great to risk again. So they lock that part of themselves away in a safe, throw away the key, and move on. Functional, productive, strong, dead inside. And here we arrive at the broken heart of this whole story. Capricorns didn't choose to be strong. They were forced to be. And now they're trapped in armor they built themselves, but can no longer remove. This is the silent tragedy of this sign. They have become so good at being the mountain that they have forgotten what it's like to be the river. So competent at carrying the weight of others that they no longer know how to ask someone to carry theirs. So skilled at hiding their pain that even they sometimes forget that they are bleeding. The phrase, "you're too strong to feel that way," isn't just a momentary invalidation. It's a confirmation of a statement Capricorn made long ago, that their only option in life is to be strong, because to be anything else is to be unworthy of love and acceptance. And that is a prison, because strength without allowing for fragility is not power. It is exhaustion disguised as competence. It is loneliness disguised as independence. It is pain disguised as control. Capricorns don't need more praise for their strength. They need permission to fall apart. They need to hear, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to need help. It's okay to be human, with all the mess and imperfection that entails. But as long as the world continues to demand that they be the mountain, they will continue to be. And they will continue to die inside a little each day, until nothing remains but the facade that everyone admires, but no one truly knows. If you've made it this far, perhaps you're a Capricorn who finally felt seen. Or maybe you have a Capricorn in your life, and you've just understood why they are the way they are. Either way, I want to leave you with this. The greatest strength you can offer a Capricorn isn't admiration for the mountain they've become. It's the courage to hold their hand while they crumble. It's saying, I see you. I accept you. And you don't need to be strong with me. Because in the end, everyone, including Capricorn, just wants to be loved for who they truly are, not for the performance they've learned to put on. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt that silent pain of needing to be strong when all you wanted was to be comforted? Or do you know someone who lives this reality? Share your story in the comments. Sometimes, healing begins when we realize we're not alone. And if this video touched you in any way, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because maybe, just maybe, we can create a world where Capricorn is finally allowed to be human. Thank you for being here. See you in the next video. Blue Heart.